Welcome back to another explainer. Okay, today we are looking at something honestly so inspiring. We're going to explore a fascinating new platform that is radically shifting how the city of Sheffield, and specifically its 147 distinct neighborhoods, actually operate. It's called Seven Hills, and it's completely rethinking how we use technology to connect with the folks living right next door to us.
So, I want you to start by asking yourself this. What if an app actually made you love your city instead of trapping you in an endless cycle of doom scrolling? You know the feeling, right? Well, imagine a digital space designed specifically to cure what the creators call the crisis of disconnection. Instead of building anxiety or polarization, this platform is explicitly built to foster community, encourage everyday kindness, and remind us that, hey, we actually have the power to transform our local streets.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where it gets really interesting. Traditional social media basically operates on a machine metaphor. It focuses on toxic likes because, nothing says community quite like arguing with a stranger in a comment section, right? It relies on algorithms that literally profit off our complaints, which Seven Hills calls a needs-based diagnosis. But Seven Hills, they completely flip this script to an asset-based architecture. It treats the community as a living ecosystem. There are absolutely no likes or views to chase here. The core metric is human agency. It simply asks, what strengths do we already have, and how can we put them into real action?
Section 1. The Digital Common Land, moving from pixels to pavements.
To understand how they're pulling off this transformation across Sheffield, we have to look at what they call the digital common land. Think of it as a digital infrastructure built exclusively for neighbors organizing with neighbors. It prioritizes what they term horizontal agency, which is really just a fancy way of saying everyday people working together to solve shared problems. Like I said, no gamified metrics, no viral videos. The app is just a tool. It's like a spade or a pen, literally designed to help you step away from the screen and get out into your local community.
And this is beautifully captured in a quote straight from the Seven Hills Constitution. Pixels on a screen become boots on the ground. I just love that. The platform exists strictly to facilitate real-world physical community action. Honestly, if you're just staring at the app, you are missing the point. The digital map is just there to help you navigate the actual physical territory of your neighborhood.
Section 2. Tilting the floor, making kindness the path of least resistance.
So, the creators use this brilliantly subtle design strategy called tilting the floor. They don't try to force change, they just make these tiny design shifts that guide us naturally toward collaboration. Every single piece of content on the app has to map to one of their 7 pillars. For instance, notice how environmental action falls under Greener Sheffield, represented by a kingfisher, or how mutual aid falls under neighbor support with interlocking hands. Everything is structured, organized, and tied directly to the goal of making Sheffield a better place.
Moving right along to Section 3, your inner civic animal, the face-first identity engine.
So you might be wondering, if we're throwing away traditional profile selfies to eliminate bias, how do you actually represent yourself on Seven Hills? Well, it gets surprisingly fun and lighthearted. You start by chatting with Porter, their AI concierge. It's this conversational onboarding process where Porter basically asks you questions about what you care about and how you like to help out. The AI then runs a semantic analysis on your answers and derives your totally unique civic animal. Finally, it mints a unique AI-generated portrait of this animal's face, and that becomes your official civic mark.
It turns out there are 12 of these archetypes in total, collectively called the Sheffield 12. And the cool thing is, they don't represent your personality. They represent exactly how you show up for your community. For example, we have the fox, who's resourceful and solves problems sideways. The badger, the tenacious grafter who just reliably works unseen. There's the otter, who brings the joy and acts as the social glue. Or the owl, the wise keeper of local knowledge. I want you to think for a second. Which of these animals reflects your own community vibe? I definitely think I'd be an otter, though, on a Monday morning, I might be a badger.
All right, Section 4, the neighborhood treasury, where contribution precedes extraction.
Now, once you have your civic marks sorted, you enter the real heart of the ecosystem, the treasury. Take a look at the core structural rule here, which they call the Offer First Gateway. You absolutely cannot request help or borrow an item until you have logged your very first offer. It's a structural tilt that basically ensures the whole platform grows through community contribution rather than just mindless consumption. You've got to bring something to the table first, whether that's an hour of pulling weeds or just lending out your ladder. And when it comes to offering your time, Seven Hills uses a hard peg system. 1 hour of your time equals exactly 1 credit. period. It is completely non-negotiable. So a high-paid solicitor offering an hour of legal advice earns the exact same single credit as a teenager offering an hour of dog walking or an elderly neighbor offering an hour of just listening. It radically levels the playing field, recognizing that all human time and effort holds equal dignity. It's a real game changer.
The treasury itself is actually broken down into different vaults. The time and talent vault is where you exchange those hours for things like mentoring, tech help, or running errands. Then there's the library of things for hard assets. Think about it. Why buy an expensive drill you're going to use maybe twice a year when you can just borrow one from a trusted neighbor who's reached the contributor trust tier? From jigsaws to camping gear or even cargo bikes, it's a beautifully localized, tangible way to actually rely on each other.
Section 5. Real action, not doom scrolling. The trust mesh and safe gathering. And this brilliantly illustrates a really important point, because of course, borrowing power tools and meeting up with strangers requires a ton of trust. So how does Seven Hills handle safety without getting all toxic? Well, instead of a broken ladder of gamified algorithms, which rely on global scores, public leaderboards, and frankly, creepy algorithmic surveillance, Seven Hills relies on what they call the trust mesh. Trust is built through private vouched links, actual physical civic handshakes done via QR codes in person, and verified location anchors. No scores, no leaderboards, no public rankings of human beings. As the Common Land specifications proudly state, trust is a mesh, not a ladder. Human reliability isn't some hoarded metric you climb to the top of just to show off. It's a web of visible, peer-to-peer community connections. It's grounded in real-world interactions, not some black box algorithms guess about your worth.
Now, this trust mesh actually extends to physical spaces through safe gathering points. A location is only verified if 3 totally unrelated community stewards physically go and visit it. It's driven by physical QR codes, which they call anchor signets. And wonderfully, they use these things called human bridges, basically verified locals who volunteer to be a visible, friendly face at a location. It's designed to reduce that threshold anxiety you might feel walking into a brand new community hall for the very first time. Such a smart idea.
Section 6. The broader vision, aligning with Sheffield City Goals 2035.
So, let's zoom out from the AI animal faces, the tool libraries, and the physical QR codes for just a second, because we need to look at the massive ambition driving all of this. All these quirky, human-centered app features are actually powering a huge, citywide transformation that directly aligns with the Sheffield City Goals for 2035. They are actively shifting the city toward a green, resilient, and inclusive economy. By relying on asset-based community development, they are literally decentering power. It's part of what the founder, Brian Moseley, calls a contributive renaissance, reducing poverty not just by managing people's needs, but by empowering their agency and making everyday kindness a structural reality through Project Ignite. And beneath the whole shebang, the entire ecosystem operates on radical data sovereignty. This is absolutely crucial. Your profile data doesn't live in some giant corporate database. It lives in a decentralized solid pod that you completely control. Seven Hills just acts as an orchestrator, storing references, not copies, meaning you completely own your civic memory, and your community data can never, ever be sold or exploited.
It's just a remarkable blueprint for how technology can actually heal a city rather than divide it. Which leaves us with one final, provocative question to ponder. If this platform launched in your town tomorrow, what would your inner civic animal be? And perhaps more importantly, what would you offer your neighborhood today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.